Hey, what's up, guys? This is Martin here from Kodiak. Guys, today we're gonna talk about the 5 signs of a weak man. And yes, I know that's a pretty big word, but at the same time, you really gotta become aware of the signs, not just with your own life, because you might be a weak man and you're watching this. That's fine, but at least you're improving yourself. However, you really don't want to befriend these people or weak men in general because they're gonna ruin your life. Your life is gonna turn into a complete catastrophe if you let them in, you know, because you are literally the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So don't befriend people who are weak. Really don't. And I'm talking about a lot of men today, okay? But we're gonna get along and talk about the signs here. So, sign number 1, a man who's emotionally weak. A man who's emotional in general. And that's a pretty big sign, because I'm talking about a lot of men today. Most men, I would say the vast majority of men, 70 to 80% of men are emotional, little crybabies. They complain all day, they have no self-control, they get frustrated all the time, they get angry, they have no confidence, they can't focus, they completely freak out when something goes wrong, and I could go on and on and on. We're talking about a huge chunk of men right now, you know, and this happens because they have no confidence. And you're going to notice, guys, that a lot of these signs will overlap eventually. But this is a big thing. You don't want to become friends with men who are weak. And any kind of man who's emotional, he's giddy, he gets way too excited or gets very frustrated. He's very angry. He starts throwing all these sayings at you. He has no emotional maturity. He gets frustrated, he gets furious, he's a freak, he's a maniac, he's a psycho. You don't want to, remove these people from your life. Or maybe you're one of them. Well, at least you're improving yourself. You're watching a video like this. You're feeding your brain the right things. So, but just understand it. Any kind of man who's weak, or any man who becomes a total little bitch when things go south, no. Get rid of them. They're gonna destroy your life. So, which actually leads me to my next sign, which is sign number 2. Any kind of man who has no responsibility. They have the victim mindset. They're a little crybaby. They're whining all the time. It's never their fault. It is always somebody else's fault. It's their parents' fault. It's the government's fault. It's the politician's fault. It's the school system's fault. It's their teacher's fault. It is their girlfriend's fault. It is their wife's fault. Like, I could go on and on and on. Like, bro, just realize this. If you want to become successful, if you want to be a total badass, just realize this. You're a rare individual. You stand out instantly, because most men are not like that. You're a totally different breed of a human being. It's like you're a gorilla in a world full of sheep or chimpanzees. You're so different from the crowd. And it doesn't just mean that you have to be physically strong. Although, I think if you want to be considered a strong man, you need to be strong physically as well. However, it's mostly in the brain. It is all about your mindset and your confidence. So take responsibility for your life. If there's one thing that I could teach you guys from this video, it's this. Always take full responsibility for everything that happens to you. Whether it's good or bad, always take full responsibility and own it with pride. Everything. If you win, you make a lot of money, you approach the woman of your dreams, you score big time, great. Kudos to you. Clap yourself on the back. But if things go south, now you're facing a lot of adversity, you're going through a lot of failure, you're not really confident, you have a lot of self-doubt, maybe you have anxiety, maybe you have depression, right? Be accountable. Take full responsibility for it. Because I know in today's, soft bitch-ass world, it is very popular for people to say that, it is not my fault, I need therapy, I need to be, in touch with myself, I need, all these therapists. I need to heal. I need to be, I need to remove myself for fucking 20 years. No. You don't need this shit. You're a man. You gotta wake up and own your life. Learn from your mistakes. Have a honest self-assessment over your life. And see where you're screwing up. Because most of you guys who are watching me, you know what you're doing right. And you know what you're doing. And you know where you're doing the wrong thing. But really, be honest with me here. It takes real humility. Understand your strengths and your weaknesses. And never blame people for your problems. This is such a big thing. Because people, and I know it's very, very easy, especially when things are not going your way. You're going through a lot of trials and tribulations. You're broke, you're fat, you're depressed. Your girlfriend maybe she just cheated on you. Maybe you lost your job, you got laid off. Maybe some deals went south and you're bankrupt now. Okay? Maybe they raided your home. I don't know what the hell happened to you, bro. But think about it like this. Own it, Like, in my opinion, life is very much like chess. That's how I approach it. Own every single thing that you do in life. And that's the best kind of, like, at least in my opinion, that's the best way you can approach life. You are responsible for everything that happens to you, all right? So, let's get on to the next one, shall we? So, number 3, a man who has no impulse control. Meaning, any kind of man who lets his impulses control him has no confidence. And he's a weak man, period. That means any kind of man who's addicted to drugs, alcohol, women, sex, video games, partying all day, watching TV, overeating, consuming social media content all day, and watching entertainment all day. Bro, that's the sign of a weak man. He has no impulse control. And I'm talking about a lot of people today. There's a lot of men nowadays who are so weak. They're so fragile. They're like little bots, man. And I'm sick and tired of reading all this shit online, especially when it comes to men being weak, men who are quote unquote depressed. They have anxiety, they have a lot of self-doubt. They have a mental disorder. Bro, that's a cop-out. You're just weak. You're not sick. Get it out of your brain, bro, that you're sick, that you have some kind of disease. It's not true. I never had this mindset, man. I've never adopted it. I refuse to believe in something that takes my power away. This is why you need to be responsible and learn about stoicism. This is one of the things that my mentor told me. During our very first conversations, he said this, Martin, learn about stoicism. And he was right. Being a stoic will save you so much time, so much energy, and so many problems in life. Because most men are riddled with all these problems. They're addicted. They're weak. They're soft. They're overly mothered. They had no role models in their life. Bro, and I definitely think that at the same time, though, I'm not just blaming all of you guys for this, because it's a whole complicated chain of things that are causing this. It comes from the food you're eating, the movies that you're watching, the content you're consuming, the people around you, bro. It's a whole, it's very complicated, So, it's very difficult to really, compartmentalize this in a way. But, however, I believe, guys, that it all starts with you. It all starts with your mindset and how you're approaching life. And the reason why a lot of men are so weak today is because they have no purpose. They have no dreams. They have no goals. And that's why they're distracted. That's why they're consuming all this shit. That's why they're watching all the stupid shit on social media. They're following the trends. They're like little sheep. And it's because they don't have that. They don't have the fundamentals. They're not stoic. They're not pure stoics. So, that's the thing, guys. You need to start with your fundamentals. This is where it starts, man. You need to fix the cure. And don't look for the symptoms. You know, this is so important, which actually leads me to my next sign, by the way. A man who's unconfident. Men who are unconfident are ruining. Men who are unconfident, they're ruining society. Period. You know what's the number one quality that women hate the most about men? It's unconfidence. Men who are unconfident, men who are weak, men who are insecure, men who don't have the balls to actually approach her, they're the worst men. Period. And in any regard, really, weak men, unconfident men are ruining the world. Because we could be exposed to so many great talents, so many great things, so many new inventions if men were more confident. And where does confidence come from? It comes from competence. It comes from being a competent man. And where do you develop competence? From doing the same shit over and over again. From repetition, from practicing your craft. And it doesn't matter what it is. Because you could be a plumber, you could be a painter, you could be I don't know. You could be an arborist. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that you take pride in the things that you do. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, you don't have to be a millionaire, you don't have to be a coach, you don't have to be an athlete. That's not what I'm saying here. But just be really good at what you do. And eventually it's going to sprout into all the other areas of your life. You know, it has that blossom effect. It's gonna really touch all the other areas of your life. Straight up. And I'm speaking from experience when it comes to this. It is so powerful. Become a competent man. Work on the things that are holding you back. Work on the weaknesses that you have. This is how you become confident. You do it by tackling the issue. And most people are not doing this. Most people would much rather avoid the whole thing. They would do something else that's not really what they want, but they're rationalizing in their brain. They're like, I'll do it later. I'll just do something. I'll just do this because it's easier. And this is where all people are losing, because people are soft. People don't want to put in the work. People don't want to grind. People don't want to sacrifice. People don't want to, put their head down the gutter. They don't want to do it. They're weak. They're dumbasses. They want to skip the work. They're entitled. They think that, but that's a whole different thing. But realize this. Being confident comes from being competent and from doing the work consistently. This is how you build a real confidence. Like a lot of you guys ask me, Martin, how the hell are you so confident? Bro, it comes from practice. At this point, I've uploaded over 230 videos on my YouTube channel. And I've done a whole bunch of reels and a whole bunch of shorts. And before that, I had a lot of different projects with some marketing clients, and I was recording videos online. And this is where it stems from. Your confidence is built by doing the hard things. This is where it's cultivated. It's a perishable skill. I don't think this is something that you're born with. That's a cop-out. That's a lie. That's a scam. So when people tell you, you got to be, you have to be born confident. You have to be, it's just like with discipline. People think that discipline is like a gift. People think that it's a talent. It's not a talent. It is something that you cultivate by hard work, by doing the work, by being there, by being consistent, by being committed, by actually applying effort. Okay, so we're going to talk about the last sign here, guys. And this is a really important thing. Any man who has no drive or no ambition is a weak man by default. Period. And in my opinion, this is where it all comes from. Like all the things that I've just talked about, like being unconfident, having addictions, being weak and unstable, having, no confidence, yada, 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 yeah. It all comes from having no drive and no ambition. Because if you were ambitious, if you had some goals and you actually follow through on them and you apply the effort, you've been consistent, you've gone through the trials and tribulations, you fucked your ass over so many times, but you still did it anyway. You stuck to your vision. You were consistent. You wouldn't be dealing with these problems that you have now, especially when it comes to your mindset. You wouldn't be weak. You wouldn't be this fragile little bitch. You wouldn't be unconfident. This is why so many, So many men today, they're afraid of walking up to a random ass woman and having a normal conversation with her. They can't even say hi. Most men can't even upload one YouTube video where they're speaking to the camera. That's how weak they are. And yes, I know, in the beginning it is difficult. Because you're afraid of the what ifs. You're scared of what people think of you. And it's a big thing. It's a legitimate thing. But you just got to do it. You know? And at the same time, I believe that this mentality comes from the school system. Because we've been programmed to believe that we need to know everything before we take the first step. And that's a big lie. You don't need to know everything. You just got to jump in the pool and figure it out. That's how simple it is. But a lot of people want to complicate it. People are like, I'm tired today. I don't have the right plan. I don't have the right resources. Bro, there are a lot of people out there who are a lot less confident than you. They have a lot less talent. They're shorter than you. They're uglier than you. But they're still making it happen. Why? Because they're putting in the work. They're not procrastinating their life away. By the way, guys, in addition to this, I'm gonna plug one more extra point. Just because I'm generous, guys. I really want to help you out. Number 6. A man who cares what other people think of him. Any kind of man who's obsessed with the opinions of other people is a weak man. And yes, this also comes from the school system, because you've been taught to believe that it is so important to think of what other people think of you, and it's complete bullshit. It is not important. What is important, however, is that you have a strong self-belief and that you have a good opinion of yourself. And you have to cultivate it. It's a perishable skill, right? You really gotta reinforce that belief inside your brain. And it comes from doing the work. Again, I know it's very repetitive. It's a boring concept, but it works. You know? Every single successful person out there will tell you this. It comes from doing the work day in and day out. That's the secret. That's the secret sauce. But people want to look for all these hacks, all these gimmicks. People want to look for the shortcut, the secrets. And that's why they never get anywhere. And you know why I'm saying this? Because I used to buy into that. I bought into that lie. And sometimes you might think, how come this other guy has his life figured out and I don't? It's because he understands this. He does the work, and that's the bottom line. You know, you gotta do more and talk less. And I'm pumped up for this, bro, because I care for you guys. So many of you have so much great potential, but you're wasting it. You're wasting it on women. You're wasting it on parties, bro, on alcohol, smoking, on, smoking on the pot, bro. This is such a lie. You're wasting your life, especially if you're a young guy and you're watching this, if you're under 30 or 35. Bro, get your ass together. Start working for your dreams. Like today, guys, for instance, I was at the Lamborghini dealership. I was just looking for some cars. And this one guy rolled up. He pulled up in a Lamborghini Revuelto in a light blue color. That was a beautiful car, by the way. And the owner was a young guy. He was maybe 30 max. I wouldn't say he was older. But, he actually came in right at the same time when I was just about to leave. And when I left that dealership, I was like, bro, he knows what he's doing. If he's like 30 and he pulls up in Lambo in Warsaw, he knows what the fuck he's doing. And then you have other 30-year-olds who are not taking responsibility for their lives. They're playing video games. Their mama is paying their rent. Their mama is paying for their groceries. Their mama's, giving them monthly paychecks. And they're weak. And then they're wondering why no woman likes them. They're jerking off all day. They're depressed, quote unquote. They're 100 pounds overweight. They're playing Fortnite all day. They have an OnlyFans subscription. I'm not gonna lie. And you see where this leads to. This is why so many people's lives are a complete mess today. Their life is in complete turmoil because they don't have this one thing in order. They don't take the responsibility for their life. And this is what you need. So be responsible and own it. Every single thing you do, it is all possible. Get it out of your brain that it's not possible. And find some better friends. Okay? By the way, guys, we have a free Discord group that y'all can join down below. I'm really fired up for this, bro. Because I care for you guys. And it is all possible at the end of the day. You just got to stick to it, and you got to believe in yourself. Follow your dreams and follow your vision. That's the thing. Best of luck.